I discussed this in class, but I'd like to emphasize it once more using this example. It says you have a sample of n equal 15 test scores ranging from 0 to 36, and there are 15 of those numbers. But suppose instead of having that raw data, you actually only have a summary of that information. In other words, there are 3 numbers in that list between 12 and 17. There are 6 numbers up here in that list between 18 and 23, and so on down. In other words, you don't have the raw data, you actually have a table giving you the frequency of those samples in those data points in the original sample, but you don't really have it. So what you really have is just the table. Now, we talked about this in class. If you don't know the actual values, the next best thing you can do is to find the midpoint of each interval and assume that that midpoint occurs the number of times indicated in the frequency column. So the first thing you do is calculate what we call a group mean. In calculating group mean would be to find the midpoint of each interval. So you take 12 and 17, add them up, divide by 2. You end up with 14.5. Then you take 18 and 23, add them up, divide by 2, and you end up with 20.5. You take 24 and 29, add them up, divide by 2, you end up with 26.5. And finally you take 30, add to 35, divide by 2, and you get 32.5. In other words, you're just calculating the ordinary average of the 2 endpoints of the interval. Now, you take the interval midpoints and you enter them the number of times indicated by the frequency. So I'd go to the Windows calculator, make sure it's clear. Remember, this CAD clears everything. And then I'd type it in. I've got 14.5. I want to enter that number 3 times. So I do 14.5. Now, if I'm going to enter it more than once, I might want to copy it. I showed you in an earlier video how to do that. If you go to the Edit menu and do Copy, before you hit Add, okay, I've copied 14.5 into the memory. Now I'm ready to add 14.5. Now, rather than typing it back again, you can actually hit the Control V on your computer keyboard. That puts it back in there, so you hit Add now and you've got it in there twice, and then do Control V again and you've got it in there 3 times. That just saves you from having to retype 14.5 3 times. Okay, now I want to take 20.5 and enter that number 6 times. So I do 20.5. Before I hit Add, I'm going to copy it, Edit, Copy. Then I'll hit Add. It's in there once. I want it in there 5 more times. So I do Control V, click Add, 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 and I believe I have it in there 6 times. You can also see that I've already entered the 3 14.5s, and now if I've entered it 6 times, I should have 9, and I do have a count of 9, so that looks good. Now I want to enter 26.5 4 times. So I type in 26.5. Before I hit Add, I'm going to copy it, Edit, Copy. Now I'll hit Add, it's in there once. I want it in there 3 more times. So I do Control V, Add, that's in there twice. Control V, Add, that's in there 3 times. Control V, Add, it's in there 4 times. You can also see I have a count of 13, and that's 3 plus 6 plus 4, that is 13. Now I just want to enter 32.5 twice. That's hardly worth the trouble of copying it, so I'm just going to do 32.5, Add, and then 32.5, Add again. And now you've got 15, and there were 15 of them, and really you probably should scroll through and make sure you didn't make any mistakes. But once you're convinced of that, then to get the group mean, you simply hit or click the X bar key. And so the group mean would be 22.5. You also, although it wasn't asked here, you might also want the group standard deviation. You simply click, as before, the sigma n minus 1 key, which is above the add, and there you would have the sample standard deviation.